Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, today is a day of mixed emotions for a lot of people across this great country and around the world, and certainly here at JMT. I was trying to think of which shirt to wear today, and because I don't normally channel a particular thing on a shirt, but some people do. They look at what a tie somebody's wearing and trying to determine what it means. I picked up, and one of the first shirts I picked up was one that looks like this, but it's kind of blue checkered, and I started to put it on, and I said, no, some people may interpret that as I'm welcoming the blue Democrats into office. And then yesterday, I did specifically wear this red checkered shirt I have, because when I'm feeling really Trumponian, I like to wear that shirt. So I just kind of picked this shirt. I went through and I said, well, people have commented on this when they like it, so maybe it'll won't try. I'm not trying to convey any particular message. I'm not that complicated, let me tell you that right now. But we got a great show for you today in spite of what is about to happen. We're going to be talking about President Trump and where he's going to supposedly spend the final moments of his presidency. Because if all things go as planned, I suppose, Donald Trump will no longer be president after the clock strikes 12 noon today. And Joe Biden, God help us, will. And we're going to talk about that. But I'm going to use this article to kind of get to some points here. But before we go any further, I always have to mention our sponsors. Big Daddy Unlimited is our key sponsor, otherwise known as BDU. We really appreciate them. If you want to check out our sponsor, no matter when or where you're watching the show, and I was remiss yesterday when I didn't welcome, actually a couple days ago, a new Facebook site to our broadcast network, Trump America First. Good morning, guys. Howdy, how are you? This is John Martin Talks, and we're here every day, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, or as close as we can get to it, but I'm glad to have you here. But no matter where you're watching the show or when you're watching it, look above the video and you will see not only a description to the show, but you will see a sponsorship link. Check it out, Big Daddy Unlimited. They are your Second Amendment headquarters, and I say that for several reasons. Not the least of which is that you can get guns and ammunition, yes, guns and ammunition, delivered directly to your door at factory direct pricing, including thousands of other items from swag right down to tactical gear, protective gear, while it's still legal to buy. Some states are trying to eliminate that, delivered to you at your door, factory direct pricing. But I also call them their Second Amendment headquarters because they literally are defending your Second Amendment rights on a daily basis and expanding that across the board. So check them out. We also have patriotthreads.org. Occasionally I'll wear one of their shirts. They're very patriotic. Check it out, Apparel with a Purpose, patriotthreads.org. You can use the promo code JMT and get 20% off. One of the things they do is they help charities and charitable events. So if you have, for instance, say a motorcycle bike ride coming up, you can go to patriotthreads.org, pick out, they'll help you design a t-shirt or a shirt, or more than t-shirts actually, for your ride, and they will help you collect the money and give it to a charity of your choice. That's just one of the many things they offer. And we're also on Recoil TV now. Recoil TV is a YouTube channel, Recoil TV. If you're interested in how weapons work, the latest equipment that's out there, you can't find a better place than Recoil TV on YouTube. Of course, you can still watch our show on our YouTube channel. Spell it out, John Martin Talks. And if you want to make comments, if you're new to watching us, I usually respond to comments on Facebook. Right now, I'm in jail, Facebook jail, so people need to get out in California with their signs saying Free John Martin. But I usually comment on that. So if you want to make a comment on our show, go to YouTube, make a comment, and I will respond to it as quickly as possible. I have to read this, and it's kind of lengthy, but it's to do with all the the hard times that conservatives like us are having trying to stay on the air. And it's only going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. So you need to take some responsibility out there if you want to watch shows like JMT. So I want to tell you how you can watch our show through thick and thin. Due to the move by big tech to deplatform conservative free speech, we will be moving John Martin Talks to a new secure platform so that we can continue to broadcast. Please download the Recoil TV app found on the link below. Right now, it's available in the Apple Store and on Google Play Store while supplies last, so to speak. In addition, you can go directly to johnmartintalks.tv to see all episodes. They're archived there, and to continue watching my show. We are determined not to abandon the public square. We're going to stay on all these different platforms as long as possible. But we are your voice of freedom, like my good friend at patriotthreads.org always says. The truth starts now. So remember, www.johnmartintalks.tv to see all of our shows there. We're also archived on America's Voice News. You can go there. We're in their archive. Look at their list of shows. Download the free app on your Android, your iPhone, Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Channel 219, Dish Network, and the Pluto channel. Man, that's a mouthful. All right, let's get into the meat of the stories today. This is a USA Today template story I'm using. Donald Trump plans to end his presidency at Mar-a-Lago as Biden takes the oath of office here. There you go. I was looking at a bunch of different pictures to post, and I can't find one really any better than that. That is the first family, the president and the first lady there. And people tend to forget that not only are we losing President Trump in the Oval Office, but we're losing one of the greatest first ladies this country has ever had, one of the sharpest people you'll ever see in that office. I mean, I challenge anyone to tell me any first lady that has been more impressive than Melania Trump. So we're also losing that, and I think that needs to be said. All right, into the article. If he sticks to the schedule, President Donald Trump will spend his final minutes in office at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. He's now a resident of Florida, so I guess I should welcome the president and say, welcome home, sir. We are glad to have you in Florida. I wish you were still in the White House after noon today, but not to be at the moment. But Joe Biden, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I've been preferencing it. God help us. Joe Biden appears to be going to be the 46th president of the United States. And I love that picture right there because that, to me, Pinocchio Joe, is the best possible representation I can get for Joe Biden. He is going to be the 46th president of the United States. At least it appears so. I know a lot of people are holding out all kind of hope. I get it. I understand. Believe me, I take no pride in saying, no joy for sure in saying this. Because I got to tell you, I never thought this day would come. And I'm not even talking about Donald Trump and the voter mod. We can't say the F word here on the show. We can't say the F word. So I call it mod, voter mod. So we're not saying any F words here on the show, but voter mod. But outside of Donald Trump and that, a separate issue, I never thought Joe Biden would ever be president of the United States. I know this is like the third time. He's really kind of run 4 times. I actually saw him speak way back when at the Florida Democratic Convention. I went to that. Yes, I used to be a Democrat. I was born, like a lot of people in the South, to a Democratic family. But the first person I ever voted for president when I was first eligible to vote was Ronald Reagan. So that probably tells you a lot about me. But I was down there at the convention in South Florida, and I heard Joe Biden give a speech. And it's kind of the first time I knew about Joe Biden, but the first time I really remember actually seeing him put on a speech. And I got to tell you, he was fairly impressive. He gives a pretty good speech. Now, this was a long time ago. Not the Joe we see now. He's not that impressive anymore. But he gave a good speech. Little did I know at the time that he plagiarized quite a bit of the speech. But I guess that's another story. But Joe Biden backed out before he ever announced he was running for president. And let me tell you, the reason why you would come to the Florida Democratic convention is to run for president. So everybody was pretty much talking about Joe Biden potentially being the nominee back then. But subsequently, Joe Biden has proved that he is the worst candidate in the history of running for president, in spite of the fact now that there's overwhelming evidence, if you want to call evidence, that he's the most popular president or president-elect or candidate in the history of the world. Because how else did he get it? Because it couldn't have been voter mod. We know that. No mod, no F words here. That it couldn't have been about mod. It had to be that he was the best choice, carried the message like no one ever has to become president. He's so popular that no one is going to show up for his inauguration except the military. And my son pointed this out to me yesterday, that he was saying that it looks like it's something from Star Wars Stormtrooper, where they're talking to the stormtroopers out there. And it's funny, but it's a bit scarily true at the same time. But I never thought that Joe Biden would ever be president. I'm not even talking about this election, because he was a lousy candidate. He's always been a lousy candidate. He was a lousy candidate in 2020. Remember, he was literally left for dead coming out of New Hampshire. And if it wasn't for the resurrection of Clyburn in South Carolina, Joe Biden, I mean, he'd be in the dustbin right now. And probably it ends up that he was probably the best choice for them. I mean, he won, I guess, depending on the mod issue. But, he absolutely was a tabula rasa, as I said earlier on in the campaign. He's a blank slate, and we know what Joe Biden's going to do, whatever they tell him to do. So I just never thought this day would come, I got to tell you. Trump is expected to be at the Palm Beach Club, which he dubbed the Winter White House, talking about Mar-a-Lago, when the clock strikes noon on Wednesday, ending a contentious, these are their words, not mine, contentious presidential term that closed with days of seclusion after a riot in the U.S. Capitol, and will be capped with a final military send-off at the Joint Base Andrews. So they say here that Donald Trump's presidency is ending a contentious presidential term that closed with days of seclusion. Well, I got a couple of issues with that. First of all, that is not a news item. It's an opinion, right? I mean, the media is pretty much dead, the straight media. But this is really an opinion, because the only reason that Donald Trump has a contentious presidency is because he was under attack even before he got sworn in, let alone after. Remember, the Washington Post actually pushed out an article 19 minutes after Donald Trump was sworn in. And I was there, by the way. One of the great things I've participated in my life, I was at Donald Trump's inauguration and the various balls that happened after my wife and I. And tells you a little bit about us. We got married on the 10th of January, and basically our honeymoon, even though we had been together quite a bit of time before then, but our honeymoon was at Donald Trump's inauguration. So I guess I'm about as Trumponian as you get. But the only reason Donald Trump's presidency is contentious, like I say, the Washington Post literally 19 minutes after Donald Trump got sworn in put out an article about impeaching Donald Trump. So, he's been under the gun for a long time. The contentiousness did not really come from Donald Trump. Not from my perspective, not from the millions of people that turned out to vote for him on November 3rd. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't seem to get mentioned very often. That's why you got to watch shows like JMT. That's why you got to support, as I say, those of us in the fight. Not everybody can be a fighter, but everybody can support those in the fight, like me and my psychic sidekick here, Billy Bob Bass. He's got a Twitter handle, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. So yes, I'm a fish whisperer. Make fishing great again, So I used to be a commercial fishing captain, and I still work on party boats right now. So I go about every weekend. I'm going this weekend, and I'm very excited. But, I was up there for the inauguration, and Donald Trump gave one of the better speeches I've heard. One of the best speeches of his presidency was his initial speech. But do you remember the coverage of it? It was that was dark and sinister. Go back and listen to Donald Trump's inaugural speech, and it was everything but dark. And of course, they argued about the crowd size and everything else. They were still talking about Donald Trump's crowd size even a year ago. It's crazy, man. Wonder what Biden, he won't have a crowd there, really. Barring a scheduled change, the White House has invited hundreds of supporters to a pomp and circumstance ceremony at the Air Base, Andrews Air Base, one expected to feature a red carpet and a military color guard, and perhaps a preview of another Trump presidential run. You think he's going to run? Of course, that's what this impeachment is all about. It's all about trying to prevent Donald Trump from being able to run. We're going to talk about that in a minute some more. But what do you think Donald Trump, Citizen Trump, what will Citizen Trump do? Now, I've been saying this for a while now. He has every right to absolutely call it a day and say, look, I've served my country. I've been out front. I did my best. And now I'm going to spend my time with my children, my grandchildren, and building my business and playing golf as much as he's criticized for that, even though Obama played as much, if not more, golf. Remember, Obama actually crashed somebody's wedding out in Honolulu playing golf. People forget that. He played a lot of golf as well, which I don't have a problem with a president relaxing myself, because there is a lot of pressure in that job. But what will Citizen Trump do? As I say, he has every right to ride off into the sunset and enjoy his life. I don't think that's what he'll do. I think Donald Trump loves America, loves country, and let's face it, the P.T. Barnum in the guy, which I say that with praise, he likes the attention. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So what will he do? Well, first he's going to have to probably deal with this impeachment mess and fiasco, because, it looks like that, of course, the House already impeached him. And it looks like Mitch McConnell and Schumer are going to agree to bring this on and have a trial. In spite of the fact that it's unconstitutional, as Alan Dershowitz said just the other day, it's unconstitutional to impeach a citizen, not a president. You can't try a citizen in the Senate. That's actually unconstitutional. It's called the Attainment Clause. It is actually illegal to try a citizen in Congress. People don't know that, but apparently they don't really care about that. Now, some people are talking about that Donald Trump is going to potentially form a third party. They call it the Patriot Party. There's some rumblings and grumblings about that. I understand that. I certainly understand the desire for doing that, especially when you see how most of the Republicans are running for cover right now, and quick. They're going to be quick to participate with Biden. Of course, they're attending a church service today with Biden. Some of the leaders like McCarthy and old Turtlehead himself, Mitch McConnell. I say that because of what was that movie, the spy movie, comedy movie, where I got a turtle head poking out. That, to me, when I hear that term, that's when I think of Mitch McConnell, that old turtle head poking out. If you're new to the show, I try to be seriously entertaining. Hopefully, I make that mark here. So we'll see. It's hard to be funny in these dark times. As what did Biden say? We're going to have a dark winter. Well, promises made, probably promises kept for Biden, because it seems pretty dark right now. But this idea of a third party, I've explained this, but of course, if I say it, it bears repeating. I'm not necessarily opposed to a third party. And if they actually impeach Donald Trump, I don't know how I could support Republicans. So I'm going to put that out there right there. I would support getting rid of all of them. But my problem with a third party is I'm not sure how it affects my number one goal. And my number one goal is to stop the progressive takeover of this country by the progressive left. Now, at least slow it down, because we haven't been doing a very good. Donald Trump definitely slowed it down. He has not stopped it, obviously, because Biden's own words said he's going to be the most, if elected, the most progressive president in history. And I take all these progressives at their word. That's one of my axioms. You don't have to wonder what they're thinking. Just take them at their word. When Chuck Schumer told you that if they take Georgia, we're going to change America, I take him totally. I trust everything he's telling me about what he's going to do. I don't like it, but I trust that he's going to do exactly that. But Donald Trump, it's still about third party. Here's the thing, as I stated, my goal, and I'd love for someone to explain it, chime in on YouTube, John Martin Talk, spell it all the way out, and let me know, because my view on it is I don't see how a third party stops the progressive takeover of this country. In fact, I could make a case that it would actually help it. My idea is to take over the Republican Party from the grassroots up. Really, you don't take it over from the top, you take it over from the bottom, because it's the bottom that votes for the people up the food chain and ultimately who heads the party and is the nominee, right? So that to me, I can make a. I'm not saying Republicans will do that, by the way, but I think it's our best chance to reach my goal. Now, people have said that the president might start a media empire. And, people are questioning all about the pardons. We might get into them later. But they're saying, why is he pardoning this person, that person? It's crazy and all that kind of stuff. Some of it may be that he's looking to them to help him build an empire. I don't know. Some of these entertainers, some of these big money donor people, there may be reasons behind it. It's going to be very difficult and certainly tremendously expensive to create a new media empire. Now, as I said earlier in our show, we here, with the help of our sponsors, Big Daddy Unlimited, are trying to create, or not trying, we're going to, because I have total faith in the people at Big Daddy Unlimited, especially the owners who are friends of mine as well, that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. They've never let me down before, and I don't anticipate that they're very determined to be not only your Second Amendment headquarters, but basically the voice of freedom around the world. They're actually determined, and we're determined to play a role in that. So check it out, Big Daddy Unlimited. Above the video where you're watching it, check out our sponsor. Support those of us in the fight. We absolutely need you to do that. But it is going to be very expensive and very difficult, not impossible, certainly not impossible, to create viable alternatives. But we got to do it. Whether Trump does it or not is a separate question. But we have to create viable alternatives in all aspects, from banking right on up to social media. Because believe me, we are under attack, and it is only going to get worse under the Democrats. This idea that what is Biden's theme today in his inauguration, America United? Yeah, really. And I'll probably talk more about that. But the one thing that Donald Trump has going for him, beyond his great abilities and his financial abilities, is he's got 74 million and change people that backed him, more than any other sitting president in the history of the United States, that voted for him. And there are probably other tens of millions of people that are now wishing that they had actually voted. It's always baffled me how about half the nation doesn't even bother to vote. But I guarantee you, they're going to get woke in a very raw way, shall we say. They're going to meet Mr. Bend Over when Biden becomes president, or Kamala Harris, whoever it actually ends up being. But Trump said in a taped farewell address released Tuesday, if you have not seen that, it's getting clouded by all this coverage of pardons and all that stuff. But Donald Trump did a fantastic farewell address yesterday. You really ought to check it out. But here's a couple of lines from it. He said, "As I prepare to hand power over to a new administration at noon on Wednesday, I want you to know that the movement we started is only just beginning." Amen, sir. And I believe that's true. Now, what does he mean by that? We'll have to wait and see. But let me tell you, you want to talk about an idea now. This probably isn't going to happen. But let me put something out there that it is a possibility. And I hadn't heard too many people even mention this. What about Speaker of the House? I know who the current Speaker of the House is, Nancy, the Wicked Witch of the West, Pelosi, man, the plastic face, man. She's melting or whatever. But a lot of people don't know this. But the Speaker of the House does not have to be a member of Congress. The majority in the House of Representatives can pick whomever they want to be Speaker of the House. So what if Donald Trump spent the next 2 years working to take over the House of Representatives, not only knocking out the Democrats, but getting all those swamp rats out of there, those turncoats, out of the rhinos. The term rhino, I began to rethink that term. I know it means Republican in name only, but a lot of these people are actual Republicans in real. The old establishment guard before Donald Trump came along, before the Tea Party, kind of the foundation of what became the Trump movement, came along. There are, I don't know that Mitch McConnell is a rhino. I think he represents the old guard. All right. But think about this. Donald Trump, now wouldn't this be something if he worked? Because he's already said that he's going to work. Remember in that Georgia rally, he said, I'm coming back here and punish these people that worked against me. What do you think he's got in store for those 10 that voted to impeach him? Donald Trump, I trust that he will come back and nail them to the proverbial wall. Tan me hide when I'm dead, Fred, that kind of thing. So we tanned his hide when he died, Clyde, and that's it hanging on the shed. You have to be old school to know that reference, man. Chime in and let me know if you know that is from a certain song. But anyway, Donald Trump, could he come back and work and nail these House members and be voted in as Speaker of the House? Could you imagine that? It would just be fantastic to me. But, I'm not saying it'll happen, but, my new slogan, by the way, and feel free to use this, maybe we need to make our own hats, is Make America First Again. Because I guarantee you, after the first day of Joe Biden, we're not going to be first anymore. He's already going to make us energy dependent, where Donald Trump made us energy independent. He's already signaled that he's okay with Iran getting a nuclear bomb. Basically, that's what they're working on. He's already putting us back to the Stone Age with the Flintstone cars, because he wants us to join the Paris Accords, even though we're already got emissions lower than what they're doing. We're leading the world in emission reductions under Donald Trump. Did you know that? You never hear that from the media. But we're going to be in the Flintstone cars of Ocasio-Cortez and the rest of the Twitter twats. Yeah, that's what I call them. The Twitter twats have their way. I think that's better than the squad. It's actually much more descriptive of what they truly are. If they have their way, we are going to be back in the Stone Age. So we need to make America first again. And I certainly believe Donald Trump can help us in that cause. Whether he chooses to or not is certainly up to him. And like I say, he deserves to ride off in the sunset if he wants to. I don't think that's going to happen. But back to this article. It says, there are questions as to how many people will travel to Joint Base Andrews, basically to see Trump off. Let me tell you this, sir, Mr. Trump. Millions. I think I feel free to do. Millions of us will be there in spirit with you, sir. I know I will. Billy Bob says he will too. I will be there in spirit with you, sending you off, sir, because I do believe that history will be much kinder to Donald Trump than the current bunch are, and that he will go down in history as one of the greatest presidents this nation ever had and may have again. Who knows? We'll see. But I think I can comfortably speak to you snowflakes out there, because if I say something that melts you, you probably deserve to be melting. But a lot of Americans are very supportive of Donald Trump. The polling, there's polling. I started to talk about it, but I'll just casually mention it right now. The only poll that has been very accurate over the last few years is Rasmussen. And the latest tracking poll on Rasmussen has Donald Trump, in spite of all the crap, he's basically been accused of being a traitor, right? That Donald Trump, the insurrectionist, the worst racist in the history of the, here's the thing. Donald Trump is the worst racist in the history of the presidency. If you're new, you're going, what do you mean? Because he sucks at it. I say he's the worst racist ever because he sucks at it. All you got to do is look at the numbers for African Americans before the pandemic hit to see, and look at the pardons. He's a racist, but he pardoned what? I think Kodak, and one of my kids told me that. They're all excited about that. I think it was, but I know Lil Wayne. I went to a Lil Wayne concert. Yeah, I'm a little bit hippity hoppity. I can't move all that much, but, and I'm like Snoop Dogg, man. I'm living my best life. I'm telling you, so I'm very grateful. But Donald Trump is the worst racist in history because he sucks at it. Obama, he wouldn't even pardon somebody like Lil Wayne. It don't seem like, so I don't know, man. But anyway, let's get along with this. Republican congressional leaders Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy, both critical of Trump in the wake of the Capitol insurrection, won't be there. What an insurrection, man. It's crazy. Pearl Harbor, January 6th will go down as Pearl Harbor. That's what Democrats who want to unite us are telling you, that basically that people who supported Donald Trump are like ISIS terrorists. That's what we are. But yet we're going to unify. So us ISIS terrorists out here that supported Donald Trump, we're being called back into the fold, man. But they plan to, these Republican leaders plan to attend church service with President-elect Joe Biden less than an hour after Trump is scheduled to depart Andrews for one last ride aboard Air Force One. Maybe he'll do a fly around the country while he's up there. But what I'm just going, and people may say this is controversial, and, you know, far be it from me. I'm not politically correct. That's true. By the way, if you're looking for political correctness, you tuned into the wrong place because you're not going to get it here. But what in the world will they be praying for at this service? I just wonder, because Nancy Pelosi said she prays for the president all the time, right? So I wonder what they'll be praying for. They may be, those two right there, Turtlehead and McCarthy, and wonder if he may have a good name, because that's what seems to be happening. McCarthyism seems to have reared its ugly head back in the Capitol again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Snowflakes, look it up. Get a little education out there, what I'm talking about. So, you know, you got to actually, I mean, I went to when they actually taught Americanism versus communism. So it's just sad what's happening. You know, one thing we need to take over our educational system. I hadn't said this in a while, but if you're wanting to run for office, one of the first things I would encourage you to do is run for school board, man. We need to take our schools back. But what will they be praying for? Mitch and old McCarthy up there, they may be praying for forgiveness, because especially old McCarthy, because he's got to run for re-election in 2 more years. You know, Mitch McConnell is set now. He's going to be up there, unless y'all recall him in Kentucky, for another, 6 years, just got reelected. And he's got a pretty cushy deal, and him and Biden could maybe exchange war stories because, you know, Mitch McConnell is tied directly into communist China with his wife, who's a shipping magnate over there. And so maybe him and Mr. Biden can compare family albums, you know, that kind of thing. But I wonder what they'll be praying for. They better pray for forgiveness if they want to get reelected, McCarthy, because retribution could be coming. And no, I'm not advocating for any kind of violence. What I'm advocating here, and I will continue to as long as I have this microphone, and even on the street if I have to, I advocate for us to educate ourselves and educate others, motivate ourselves and motivate others, activate people. In other words, do something and get other people activated. And if necessary, and I mean by voting, eliminate these people that are taking over our nation. From the rhinos to the wannabes to the progressive leftists, get rid of them all. We need a movement to do that. The Air Force One ride to Mar-a-Lago will end a presidency like no other and a transition like no other. I played this video yesterday, but I thought about it. It's a snippet from one of Donald Trump's campaign rallies earlier this year before the election, because it kind of sums up to a certain extent, I think, this 1 minute or so video of what we're losing today. Check it out. See if you agree.
Biden's plan will destroy 5 million jobs, eliminate $2.6 trillion in wealth, and hurt lower and middle income families the most of all. I will deliver optimism, opportunity, and hope. Biden will deliver pessimism, poverty, and decline. For the last 47 years, Joe Biden has been outsourcing your job, opening your borders. Oh, by the way, our border is closed. That's why you never hear about it. You ever notice you don't hear about that? You don't hear about our vets anymore because we take such good. Remember, every night you'd hear about vets. Before me, 91% approval rating with our vets. Our vets voted 91%. We never had anything like it. And sacrificing American blood and treasure in endless foreign wars in countries that you've never even heard of. And they're all coming back. You know that, right? I mean, I hope nobody objects. I think 19 years in Afghanistan is enough, wouldn't you say? We're like a police force over there. We have the greatest soldiers in the world, but over there, we're like a police force. 19 years is enough. You think it's easy getting out with all the military-industrial complex, right? Dwight Eisenhower, the military, beware the military-industrial complex. They're right, but we're all coming home. They're all coming home.
Yeah, I tell you what, we're going to miss that dude, man. I don't know how else to say it. You're going to be missed, sir. I mean, think about it. Right now, the military is basically the only crowd in D.C. right now, supposedly. And the military brass, I talked about this yesterday. The best place to watch our podcast, you can go to johnmartintalks.tv. Remember that. Go to our YouTube channel, John Martin Talks. Go to Recoil. You can go there. You can also go to America's Voice News under the show tab and check it out. But I talked about yesterday that the military industrial complex that Mr. Trump just mentioned, they're tickled to death. They love Joe Biden, man. You remember when the Democratic Party was the anti-war party? I know if you're just graduated from high school in the last 10 years, you can't probably believe that. But there used to be a time when the Democrats were supposedly the anti-war party. Even Bernie Dadgum Sanders, when Donald Trump talked about moving 50 troops in Syria, was like, hey, we can't do that. So now everything is on its head. The Democrats and the Republican establishment, they're all about getting rid of Donald Trump. The Pentagon is cheering today, get rid of Donald Trump, because they want to keep the fight. They have a lot of money on the line, man. You know who's probably not cheering? The soldiers that have to pay the price. The rank and file support Donald Trump overwhelmingly, and the brass is scared of them. We've seen that this week. They're scared of the privates and the sergeants and that kind of the corporals and the captains. They're scared of them because they believe that Donald Trump actually had their back. The vets actually, Donald Trump, as he spoke about there, had their back. Who has their back right now? Biden is going to stab them in the back. That's for sure, because, it just is what it is. We'll talk more about that as time progresses. Never one to respect political norms. They're talking about Mr. Trump. Hallelujah for that. It's one of the reasons I voted for him, by the way. Never one to respect political norms. Trump spent the last 2 months protesting his election loss to Biden in an unprecedented manner. He filed lawsuits, unprecedented. Everything Donald Trump does is extraordinary. Not to mention the fact that the last 3 Republicans that got elected to office, the Democrats challenged them. Now, were they charged with insurrection? They challenged the election results of the last 3 Republican elected presidents were challenged in Congress. They weren't successful, but they were challenged. But, Donald Trump's the first one to ever do that. Baloney, man. Don't you believe? Please don't believe the malarkey. I wonder if Biden will say the word malarkey today. Is there a drinking game to that? I don't know. Never one to respect political norms, Trump spent the last 2 months protesting his election loss to Biden in an unprecedented manner. He filed lawsuits, pressured lawmakers, and repeated baseless claims of widespread. I almost said it. Got this because I'm reading the article, but I can't even read the article in this part. I can't say the F word, so let me start back again. Repeated baseless claims of widespread fraud, well, let's call it that, in the election. Baseless claims. Based on what? They're saying the claims are baseless. Well, let me just tell you, first of all, God bless Texas. I hadn't said this in a while, but God bless Texas, man, with his own hands. Because Texas actually tried to do the right thing. They did the right thing, and they had 20-some odd other states, including my great state of Florida, join with them. Now, we can talk about all these other things that happen and merits of it. There are people signed affidavits, all that kind of stuff. But to me, the case that breaks my heart, and it's not because Donald Trump didn't prevail. What breaks my heart, because I'm a constitutionalist first and foremost. Beyond Donald Trump, I love this country, and I believe that our country's greatness and our future depends on the U.S. Constitution. And it is being torn asunder and ignored, which I tell you many times is even worse than doing away with it. But the Texas case breaks my heart because the Supreme Court, the last place where we're supposed to be able to redress our grievances, wouldn't even hear the evidence, even though the Constitution says that they are the arbiter of disputes between states. They would not even hear the evidence. And everybody knows, and then I'm talking about mod, I'm talking about unconstitutional, because the Constitution is extremely clear on this point. That these states, yes, we have basically 50 state elections for president, not a national one. But the only entity within the state that can change election law is the state legislature, not governors, not consent agreements between secretaries of state, none of that. And so anything that changes election law outside the state legislature is by its very nature unconstitutional. And all these judges know that, yet they would not even hear the evidence. It breaks my heart. God bless Texas, though. You know, I actually believe that we're going to see a movement. People are talking about secession and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that's not possible. What I think you're going to see during the term that, God help us, Biden is the president, or Kamala Harris for that matter, you're going to see states like Texas and Florida move towards independence of a different nature, not secession per se, but they're going to be economic islands, and they may partner up, places like Texas and Florida. And they're going to be a lot of lawsuits that probably rise to the Supreme Court. It's going to be very interesting to see how the majority, supposed conservative majority we have now in the Supreme Court, thanks to Donald Trump, period, bottom line, how they're going to react to that. Because I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to see Texas and Florida and places like that actually form alliances, both individually and independently, and become economic islands and play bastions of freedom for things like your Second Amendment and free speech. You know, Florida is already challenging about divesting any pension money, any state monies from these big giant tech companies. So they're already starting down that line. So I think that's what you're going to see happening. Back to this article, the lame duck president hasn't made talking about Donald Trump, appearance since January 12th trip to South Texas to deliver an immigration speech near the U.S. border. Now, they say he's isolating himself, while at the same time, they're cutting him off from every kind of social media. They won't even, a press conference, if he tried to hold one, would be a circus. We already know that. But Donald Trump is down at the South Texas border, touting the wall, right? But apparently, people are trying so hard to get to Biden's. Billy Bob tells me that we have a video of people trying to get to Joe Biden's inauguration. Can we play that? Yeah, that's good enough. Billy Bob, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. That's actually people down in Central America bum rushing across the borders to get here because they do want to celebrate Joe Biden's presidency, because it means that tens of thousands, if not millions, of immigrants are going to illegally cross our border. Keep in mind that the UN, that sacred organization, the UN, so it's got to be true, put out something a few years ago that I first reported on this show, that 84 million people in Central and South America want to come to the United States if they have the chance. 84 million. That's from the UN, not me. Along the way, Trump has ignored Biden in ways without parallel. That's probably true, but you know who else has ignored Joe Biden? The Democratic Party. People forget this video. Check this out.
People say all the time, we got to get the vice president out of the basement. He's fine in the basement. 2 people see him a day, his 2 body people. That's it.
That was a Zoom conference between leaders of the Democratic Party. That was Terry McAuliffe, who used to be chairman of the National Democratic Party, basically saying Biden is great in the basement. Let's just keep him down there. Yet Trump has ignored him. It's crazy, man. The incumbent president has not met with his successor. It's doubtful that Trump will write the traditional note of encouragement that ongoing presidents leave for successors, as President Obama left Trump. Obama, he is such a fake, man. These guys, Biden and Obama, they're sitting there welcoming Trump into the White House in 2016 or 2017 by the time he got inaugurated, when they were stabbing him in the back. All you got to do is look at this James Comey, the former director of the FBI, Obama's boy. Check it out, what he said. I can't make this up. Check it out.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration. The FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official. You would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over.
The heck with anybody's rights, constitutional rights. We just do it because we can. The FBI director. This is what Donald Trump was up against. I mean, they talk about here in this article about Donald Trump breaking the norms, about inviting the Bidens over and all this kind of stuff. These people were conspiring against him from day one. Yet they're sitting there in the Oval Office. Oh, we like to welcome Donald Trump and Melania Trump to the... I mean, I don't know about you, man. I don't like the fake BS. I'd rather you look me in the eye and slap me upside the head than put your arm around me and stab me in the back, man. It's all fake. And they talk about Donald Trump, you know, should ride like they normally do up to the Capitol with the president-elect. To the Capitol, where they've impeached him now twice, man. And it said, afterward, new presidents and first ladies usually pose for pictures at the Capitol with their predecessors. The new president typically sees the new ex-president off to a helicopter for the ride to Andrews Air Force Base. Now, I wonder why Donald Trump might not want to meet with Joe Biden and Jill Biden. Could it be something like this video?
They don't call Super Tuesday for nothing. By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is Val, you switched on me.
Could it be that Donald Trump would be worried that old Joe Biden might want to do more than sniff Melania's hair? He might try to drag her out. Well, we're pretty much out of time. I was going to play a few things for you, but let me just tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. You know, people are wondering, we'll close with this, what will Donald Trump do? But the real question is not what will Donald Trump do. We'll just have to wait and see. The real question, ladies and gentlemen, is what will you do? What will you do? And I'm not advocating violence or anything. Are we just going to go back and just rest on our laurels and say, you know, we had a good run, Donald Trump did this and we were there? Are we going to get mad at him for what he's done in the last couple of days? We may address that at another time. Or are we going to get educated, motivated, activated, and try to save this country? Because if we don't, if we just sit back and say, oh, it's a lost cause, then we, as I've been saying, if this whole thing, if this whole America First movement, the MAGA agenda was based on one man, as great as that man is, it was doomed to failure from the start. Donald Trump told us in his farewell address, it's only just beginning. So the real question is, what will you do? Tune into our show on a daily basis, and I'll give you some ideas. And I have no problem with being straightforward with you, honest, and give you my honest, opinionated facts. Hope you've enjoyed the show today as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go to our YouTube channel, check it out, all the different ways. Support the fighters in the fight. Support our sponsors. I'll pray for your family. We got one more day to pray for our current president, who's still your president, snowflakes, Donald Trump, because they both deserve it. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.